5 years ago, I came to this spot and watched my friends climb this rock. I remember standing there, staring up at it, and thinking how cool it'd be to be strong enough to join them on top. It's always felt like just a distant dream, one that was just always out of reach, and for years, this feeling would haunt me. I would doubt myself and wonder if maybe this goal just wasn't for me, and maybe, just maybe, this goal was for someone else to achieve. But a few months ago, I decided that enough was enough, realizing that the only thing standing between me and climbing this rock was myself. And so I made a decision, one simple, stubborn choice, that I would dedicate my life to climbing this rock. By this point, you probably know a thing or two about climbing, making its way into the Olympic, and probably your local city too. A sport that's often been misunderstood, filled with tech bros and some other insufferable types, is actually a great place to build community and push yourself at the same time. So in climbing, a route gets its grade the first time it's climbed. And these grades can range anywhere from V0 all the way to V15+. But there's an important distinction here to make, which is that indoors and outdoors are basically like two different languages, and the outdoor grades are way harder. Me, myself, I'm like a humble V6 indoor climber, but outdoors I can barely climb like a V2. And our goal for this journey is to make it all the way to an outdoor V6. Just like this dude over here. We have to whisper though, because it's bad etiquette to be loud in public while people are climbing hard. We're not just going to climb any V6 though. We have our eyes set on 7 Spanish angels. This rock is so beautiful, it stands loud and proud on its own, and honestly, it's so picturesque, it's as if God made it to be climbed. And best of all, it ends with an explosive dynamic move at the end. This climb has seriously been a dream of mine since I laid eyes on it for the first time just a little over 5 years ago. You may be wondering why I'm setting this goal, and that's because I'm moving to New York City at the end of the year. And with that, I'm leaving behind all the accessible climbing that California has to offer. Now that we've got the basics down, let's jump into our plan of attack. There are a few major climbing areas that we're going to visit on this journey. We have Malibu Tunnels, Black Mountain, Stony Point, and Bishop. In each of these areas, I have some unfinished business to attend to. So not only are we going to try and send our V6, we're also going to try and finish every single climb I was unable to do while I lived in Southern California. And with that, let's begin our journey. At this point in my life, I'd been feeling pretty stagnant. I would wake up feeling stuck and confused, questioning what is even my purpose today. I'd always put off the idea about setting a goal for myself, as it really felt like I was just doing it to break up the monotony in my life at that point. But on this day, I decided that enough was enough, and you know what? I'm just going to dedicate my life to seeing a random goal through for once, just to know how it feels. Because who knows? Maybe I am wrong, and maybe things can feel different for once. Now, with all of that said, let me introduce you to our first climb of this journey, Drug Lord, a V3 located in the Malibu Tunnels, which is conveniently located 40 minutes away from home in the Santa Monica Mountains. Our first few burns on this rock really aren't anything to write home about, which is pretty typical in outdoor climbing. When you're climbing in the gym, all of the holds have these bright colors, but outside, you don't really know where your feet are right away. So it takes a lot of trial and error to work things through. And while we don't send on this first trip, there is one thing that's key, which is I incorporated a technique that I'd recently heard from a friend of mine named Boss in one of his YouTube videos. And it really talks about breathing and how each breath should be really intentional and planned throughout the climb. And while it sounds like a simple concept, on this burn I implemented it for the first time, and the results shocked me.
Nice. Ah! You're strong. Come on. Get that heel on.
I remember in that moment feeling like I had just unlocked a new ability in a video game. Completely motionless. I felt all of the power drained out of my body, knowing that I'd really given it 100% for what felt like the first time in forever in climbing. And while we don't send, we've unlocked a new skill, and our journey to sending 7 Spanish angels truly has begun. Allow me to introduce you to one of my favorite climbing destinations in Southern California, Black Mountain. Nestled in the mountains located just outside of Palm Springs, its high elevation makes it a premier destination for climbing in the warmer summer months. Gatekept by a treacherous dirt road, those who are brave enough are rewarded with beautiful views and even more beautiful boulders. One of my favorite parts about climbing is how community-driven it is. When you climb outdoors, you often run into the same faces weekend after weekend, and eventually, you just start becoming friends. Our journey today starts at a classic boulder named the Visor. Originally, I wasn't planning on putting this climb in the video, but when I look back on the footage, it really reminds me of the great time I had with new friends I had made recently. And on this day in particular, I was actually in a pretty bad mood, and that's because I got bit by a fucking dog earlier in the day. But despite all this, armed with the power of hard work and friendship, I was able to send this climb. Let's focus now on the real goal of this weekend's trip, Gypsy's Day Out, an idyllic V3 with a safe landing, brilliant moves, and it's the project that I set my eyes on. On my first trip to this boulder, all of my attempts look pretty similar to this first one. I wasn't even able to establish on the start. Honestly, I felt pretty shut down and gutted, but on this trip, armed with the power of friendship, something was different and I was able to establish on the first move. One of the benefits of climbing with others, especially those who are stronger with you, is that they can give you micro beta, and that helps you make these small adjustments to progress on the climb. And boy did that help today. I was able to put together the climb piece by piece, move by move, and boy I was making progress on this thing, faster than I thought I would be able to. Oftentimes in climbing, something as small as angling your foot in a slightly different position or moving it a few inches to the left or the right can make a really big difference in your progress on the climb. And you know, in a way, it's kind of just like life, where sometimes all you need to do to find success is make some small changes in a few different places. And with these changes combined together, you start to see an end result. And with all of these small pieces put together, I was able to give it a proper burn. Okay.
No, you got this. Come on. Yep. Come on, push. Yeah! Woo! Let's go! Woo! That was it!
And just like that, our first end of the journey is over. And now, we can go and enjoy a quick vacation to New York City.
Quick, decisive.
Nice. Woo. Come on. Nice. Nice. Nice.
I've been in a bit of a rut recently. I've been struggling with tendonitis issues in both of my arms, especially my elbows. On my recent trip to New York, which was kind of like my scout it out and see how I feel about moving there to make sure it's really what I want to do, I was really hoping that I could be using that month to really start, jumping on the board to work on like some footwork and also, just build general strength. But I really wasn't able to climb that hard, and I still can't pull that hard. So really that time was just mostly like socializing, relaxing, and I took climbing really light. I was able to do a few climbs here and there at the various gyms, but nothing really that I felt was at my level. I mean, I'm just scared because I'm afraid that maybe this is like going to become like a long-term issue that's going to take a few months to resolve before I can start pulling hard, and I won't be able to, accomplish these goals that I have for myself. In some way, this really is part of the sport. Like, I feel like every single climber kind of goes through this journey at some point in their training. It's like, it's part of the sport to learn how to manage the condition your body is in, in a way that you're not exacerbating any injuries you have. And to be honest, I feel like every climber has gone through these issues. I'm really blessed though. I have, some friends who are PTs that I climb with regularly, and they've given me some routines that I can follow to try and treat these issues. But I don't know, everything feels kind of in the air right now as for how things might be looking over the next few months. But I am optimistic that we can figure something out. I would be lying if I said anything other than I was feeling pretty down coming into this weekend. And while I hadn't talked about these injuries up until this point, they've actually been a problem for a pretty long time now, dating all the way back to our initial attempts back at Malibu Creek. I had honestly just hoped that if I lightened my load that these problems would go away, but it really wasn't the case. And at this point, I was honestly giving up hope that I'd even be able to send a V4, and the dream of one day sending 7 Spanish Angels felt like it was slowly slipping away from me. But despite everything, I kept my promise to myself, and I kept showing up no matter what, weekend after weekend, making sure I got outdoors and took the necessary trips possible. And joining me on this trip this weekend was my friend David, who's visiting from the East Coast. We decided to make a weekend-long camping trip out in Black Mountain with the express intent of trying to help me break through to the next level. And while I didn't send this V4 here, I was able to make some good progress on the start, but it was getting pretty late and cold, so we decided to call it early and go ahead and set up camp for the night. And despite everything going on, I decided the most important thing was to remember to keep having fun with climbing. And there's nothing more fun to me in climbing than going back to an old boulder I haven't visited in a year, because the chances are I'm gonna get shut down or I'm gonna send that thing. You're basically spinning a slot machine to figure out if you're gonna get a cortisol or a dopamine injection straight to your dome for the day. And today, surprisingly, I was feeling really good, and I was able to stick the hardest move and send the climb.
Easy. Light work.
Wow, I got stronger. And the sense didn't just stop there. I was able to tick off a bunch of lower grade climbs that day. Normally on V1s and V2s outdoors, it would take me a few tries to figure them out, but today things were feeling pretty good and I was able to get a lot of them on my first burns. I didn't record too many, so you're just gonna have to enjoy the little ones that we show you here. I was having a really good time on this day. It was really fun to show David around one of my favorite crags, taking him to all the various classics. And it was cool to see him jump on some of these mega lines like Big Greenie and also Tour de France. There's also a bit of this osmosis effect you get when you climb with stronger climbers. You pick up on these small details about how they approach projects, how they farm beta, how they move, and honestly, there's nothing that beats just watching someone pull on a classic and see them climbing hard to fuel you to want to do better as well. And after a long 8-hour day of climbing, we decided to call it, enjoy the views, and then head back to camp for some dinner.
Oh, we have Tupperware.
Yeah.
It's smelling good.
And before heading back home, we decided to make a pit stop in an old friend. You would think after 2 days of climbing we'd be ready to call it, and our bodies would be destroyed. And honestly, I was feeling it at this point. But I knew I had some unfinished business, and I really wanted to get a few burns before we headed out. And honestly, I really couldn't shake this feeling that maybe today would be just a little different. I'm just gonna let this one play out for a bit. What time is it right now, David?
2:27.
Like after 2 minutes.
28.
Can I start at 2:30?
Yeah, we have to send.
Okay.
You have to send.
No, you need to go.
Otherwise, you owe David a meal.
Go when you feel good.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm feeling really tired now.
Yeah, you tried really hard. That's good. That's fine. Give it your best go, and if it's worse than your previous goes, then you know it's because you're tired and not because you're not learning.
Ha! Set!
Come on.
Ah!
Hold it. Come on.
Ah!
Come on.
Come
Good
on.
jug.
Come on. I got you.
Ah!
Dude, come
Finish
on.
it out. Finish it out.
Ah!
Breathe. You got some time. Come on.
You got some good feet.
Ah!
Let's go.
Whoa! Yo, that was sick.
I remember just sitting there on top of that rock, holding back my tears, not wanting to look at my friends because I know I'm just gonna burst out crying if I did. And it feels kind of silly because, you know, we've only just sent a V4 and we're still so far away from trying to send a V6. But this one moment just meant so much to me. Like with everything going on with the injury and all the doubt that I had in my mind, this was truly the first moment in my outdoor career that I really felt strong. And I really started to believe that, you know, maybe I do have a chance at this. And the feeling of I actually am a strong climber really set in for the first time. And leaving that day, I knew deep in my heart that this was going to be a moment I would be proud of for the rest of my life. And just like that, the dream of sending 7 Spanish Angels is alive again. With some new confidence in our system, it's about time we visit one of my favorite crags, Stony Point. Stony is really cool because people have been climbing here since as early as the 1930s. It is a true birthplace of modern climbing in America, birthing pioneer climbers like John Backer and Patagonia founder Yvon Chouinard. And just like me, they would come here to train for their projects that were far away. And there's a special feeling knowing that I'm pulling on the same holes that they too once did in the past. And our project today at Stony is one of my long-standing demons, the crack. A burly V3 that over the years has just slowly degraded. Because Stony is sandstone, it slowly breaks apart over the years. So if you ask anyone who's climbed at Stony, they'll tell you that this thing actually just gets harder every time they touch it. I've been here a few times before, but never been able to make it more than a few moves off the ground. Thankfully, the starting hold on this climb is quite forgiving. It's an incredibly in-cut jug, and from there you need to move outward and position yourself to make your first big move. But here I'd have an issue figuring out where to go from there. And on my last trip, I was able to make a breakthrough that allowed a few other people there to ascend the climb. But now, just like everything else, this is about my journey, so I think it's about time we jump on this thing and see what progress we can make for the day. Our first burn actually goes quite well, and despite some rust, I feel much more confident trying to do the start moves than I did ever before. And move by move, we're chiseling our way slowly through this climb. I'm able to find the right body position for each of the moves, and I'm starting to just cruise through this thing. Before I knew it, I actually made it to the hardest part of the climb, which is this incredibly polished jug on the top left corner. And so what about this hold makes it the hardest on the climb? Well, you see, it's actually broken several times over the years. So what used to be a large piece of rock to hold onto has actually become a smooth little nub of its former self. And you know, in a way, this is kind of just like life. Just because one thing goes wrong doesn't mean the journey is over, and we find new ways to adapt and push on forward. And now that we're entering into the crux segment, it's time for us to lock in and really work on this. We come back fresh, and we're easily able to make it back to the hardest segment of the climb. And to my surprise, we're able to make contact. And it doesn't just stop here. We keep going and going, and every time we're getting closer. Until finally, it's our turn to join the ranks of this rock.
Nice! Fuck yeah. Fuck yeah, nice.
Let's go! And with this rock behind us, we're ready to take our first trip to Bishop and test ourselves against 7 Spanish Angels for the first time. Bishop is a really special place for climbers. The fields here are littered with beautiful boulders holding some of the proudest lines in the world. And for many, they come from far and wide with a similar dream as myself. The dream of setting that one line you always think about. With a few cents under our belt, I was feeling pretty good coming into this first trip. My goal for the next few days was to scout out 7 Spanish Angels and get a gauge on what things I might need to work on before our final trip. It's been a few years since I last came to this boulder. Back then, I was just a spectator, but now I'm a competitor, and it's my turn to truly give this rock a run for its money. Going into this first attempt, it was hard not to feel pressure. The last few months had really all been leading up to this moment. With the weight of the world seemingly on my shoulders, there was nothing left for me to do, other than to jump on the climb and give it my first burn. And oh my god, I did not expect what was about to happen. I couldn't even do the first move. I tried over and over and over again, but I just couldn't figure it out. And honestly, I just started crashing out at this point. And while I was making small bits of progress, I was having a lot of issues getting out of the starting segment. And while I wanted to keep my spirits up, I couldn't help but feel a crushing sense of reality start to set in. No matter how hard I tried, I just couldn't crack the start. I feel kind of sick today. So I don't feel super strong, but I made some progress compared to the first times I did it. But it feels really hard, and I'm curious to see how today will go. Gonna give it some more burns. I feel like my skin's awake. So yeah, this thing's hard though. I'm kind of scared that I can't do it. But thankfully this dude showed up and showed me something that changed everything. Did you catch the difference? Let's run it back really quickly. It's incredibly subtle, but he's actually using a lower foot to start compared to the higher one I'm using. After noticing that he uses a different foot, I was inspired by this and I jumped right back on and gave it another go, and bang! I was finally able to stick the start in a way that I felt confident. Turns out copying my short friend's beta was a terrible idea, and we're officially back in business. I made it so much easier. Holy. With that new beta unlock, I was able to progress further and further into the climb slowly. And I was able to hit a new high point for the day. And despite the rocky start, I was feeling very content leaving 7 Spanish Angels on the first day. Okay, so the first day of 7 Spanish went pretty okay, I would say. Like, I had some issues at the start following my friend's beta, and it just didn't really feel great for me. And I've been feeling like a little sick today, so like that also doesn't help. I'm really excited for the next session just because I think I can make like one more move in, especially that like high hand after the heel for that left hand. And once I can stick that and like start working on moving the right hand out, then I think I'm like really in the money. And if I can make good progress on that on, was it Tuesday? I think it goes. Like I legitimately think it goes in the December trip. So I'm really stoked. Normally on a trip like this, I would try a variety of different climbs, spreading out my mileage throughout the days. But on this trip, since we have this goal in mind, we're full sieging this thing. Now, there's really not much to say about today's burns. I was able to do the first few moves consistently, which felt great. And as an added bonus, I was also able to make it one move further. We hit our new high point again one more time, solidifying the fact that we can make it here consistently. But unfortunately that cold I've been battling was winning, so I had to call it a bit early as I really had no more juice left in the tank. So, the reason why Bishop, and particularly this climb, is so important is because 4 years ago on this day actually, I remember I had a conversation with my friends here in Bishop, and they were talking to me about would I ever want to become a stronger climber? Because at that time, I could barely do like V0, V1s outdoors, and I was like a V3, V4 gym climber. And I remember talking to them and saying like, oh, I don't have an aspiration for that. But when I look back on it, I do think it's something that I've always wanted. And I've always wanted to be able to climb these like cool lines. But in that moment, I think I was just too afraid to say that, because to put that expectation that, oh, I might want to be there one day means like I actually need to go and achieve it. And I think that part of this journey has been really fun, because instead of feeling like these dreams are far away from me, they feel truly obtainable now. But also it feels nice because, in a sense, like, believing in myself to be able to accomplish this dream, you just like boost your self-confidence. And it's crazy how the idea of like just arbitrarily giving myself a goal for the last 3 months has done so much to, add like value to my everyday life, or like, I don't know, just make me feel so much better about myself during the day to day, because I have this goal that I've been working towards and I can see the progress. And I've said this a lot, but send or fail, like something that I'm proud of. It's cool that it's only been 4 years and we've made so much progress since then. And while there was no send on this trip, I am excited and optimistic that in the future there could be one. And with this, we end our scouting trip with a high point of entering into the crux section and a little confidence that it can go in December. But it feels good to be back here. And I'm excited. There's only one thing left to accomplish before we head back to Bishop and attempt to send our first V6, and that's sending our first V5. And for this, we have the perfect candidate close to home back at Stony Point. Our goal is Angel Wings, a classic V5 boulder that sits right at the entrance of Stony Point. By this point, I've actually been here a few times, but let me give you a quick update on the progress we've made so far in the last few weeks. This is pretty much how our first few attempts went.
Yeah. Nice, come on. So close.
Now, this one's nothing to feel too special about so far. Even though it looks like we made it pretty far, the start holds are actually quite nice. But in some of the later burns, I was actually able to do one of the hardest moves onto the climb. So needless to say, I was feeling pretty confident coming into today. I had just set my first V4, and I've been climbing a ton, and I feel like I'm the best I've ever been outdoor climbing, so I was motivated to get in on this thing. And on the first burn, the unthinkable happened. I punted off the crux. I punted not once, not twice, but every single time I tried the crux move. I have so much footage of me working this one single move that I have no idea what to show you guys here. I had entire sessions where I spent the entire night just working on the single move with no luck. It's like my powers were zapped from me from my first attempt. It really did not go well for me. Like, when I threw all of this footage for this climb onto my timeline, I had 3 hours of unedited footage to sift through, and it's mostly just of my attempts and not me lazing around. Needless to say, at this point with the deadline approaching, I was really getting obsessed with my goal in climbing. I was pushing myself out to climb even on the days that I didn't want to, and to this day, I still wonder if that was really the right idea or not. But despite all of this chaos and frustration, a part of me looks back on this time really fondly. I was spending a lot of time by myself, and when I say a lot of time, I really mean it. Every week I would drive after work for an hour, climb until midnight, and drive home exhausted. But in those moments of silence between burns, I found a special sense of peace. And even though I wasn't sending, I was still showing up regardless of the progress each week. And maybe I hadn't sent a V5 yet, but what really matters is I was out here projecting it, and I was giving my all in a way that I had never done before in my life for this sport. And it was my experience here that really solidified my belief in myself as a climber. It's not about the grade that I'm climbing, but it's really about the way in which I choose to show up for myself and my dreams. But in the end of the day, we still have an objective to accomplish here. And after intensively studying footage of others on this climb, I tried something new, and I had a breakthrough. It's subtle, but I realize I've been holding this big hold wrong the entire time. I was holding it in a closed hand position when I should have done it more open hand like this. That slight adjustment to my index finger really helped me improve my body tension against the wall. And after this one small micro adjustment, I was able to stick the move not just once, but consistently from here on out. Looking back, I'm so glad that I figured this out. But what's even worse is while editing the footage, I realized I'm a fucking idiot. Because I was literally given this exact beta by my friend on one of my first trips here.
There's a way to hold it.
You doing a spider grip right here?
Yeah. And then I do it like this.
Sadly, at this point in the session, even with my newfound knowledge, I was just way too out of juice to keep going. And so I packed my things and headed back to my car, knowing that the next time I came back here, I'd be able to crush this thing. At least is what I thought when I left that night.
Yeah, lots of visuals like this coming out of Southern California. Roads completely inundated by floodwaters from all the rain that fell yesterday.
Well. Here we are. Today is December 18th, and tonight I am leaving to Bishop on what is going to be my final trip of this journey. For you guys, it's probably been like 20 minutes of watching this video. But for me, it's been like 4 or 5 months since we started this journey. And honestly, it's been a lot more fun than I had originally thought it would be. When I'd first come up with this idea, I had been in kind of like a weird place in my life. And I feel like at that time, basically, I felt like no matter what kind of goal I would set for myself, I never felt like the desire to pursue it because I always felt like I was just setting an arbitrary goal for the sake of having one. And I had kind of gotten fed up with that feeling. And I basically decided one day that it's like, you know what? Like, I've decided I'm going to move. And until then, like, I'm just going to set this goal for myself to try and climb this climb before I move. And every single decision I make, I will try to base off the desire to do this. And I'm just going to turn my brain off and live by this value instead of like living by my feelings. And it's kind of crazy to think that like this actually like worked. It's like insane to think that if you just shut your brain off and just do something and stop thinking about the cost, thinking about everything that goes into it, and just thinking about like just like whatever action you're doing is like working towards this, it just makes you kind of feel better in this day to day. And like, I don't know, I would wake up with like a feeling of purpose, or I'd be like really excited when the weekend came around to like jump on another climb and like work, you know, different ones. And I really looked forward to the time I was able to spend in nature and like all the people I got to know better and meet along the journey. But now that we're here, I feel like I'd be lying if I said I wasn't nervous. I think that considering like making a video around this, it puts a little more pressure on this idea of like sending the climb, because like I want to give the best narrative possible, right? Like everyone wants the happy ending. But I think in the nature of life and like this sport and, you know, in the spirit of the journey being the real fun thing, this is just like kind of all part of it. And like, this isn't a narrative that I can like truly control. But I think in the end of the day, send or fail, I am really happy with how these last few months have been. And I'm really happy of the progress that I've made. Because I think in the end now, the feeling I have when I look at that climb, it's not a matter of like, could I ever do it one day? It just really feels like a matter of when. And that alone and that feeling is really important to me. And so what comes after this is going to be my best attempt on 7 Spanish Angels for this trip. And send or fail, I'm really happy with how far we've come. And thank you all so much for watching this video.
Yeah, expensive. And yeah, for the most part, you're not wrong. Yeah.
go, Tian.
Come on, Tian.
Yeah.
Go up the wall and then I'll follow you.
Yeah. Send trains.
Send train.
Then I'll go on too.
Yeah.
Third time's the charm. Send
The journey is over. Thank you for watching. Sadly, I did not send. Until next time. It's been fun.
Oh my god! Fuck yes!